What's up, everyone? In this video, we're going to go over some great plays for this week. We're going to go over some stocks related to Black Friday and the record Black Friday data that we've seen this year. And then at the end of today's video, we have multiple, multi-million dollar hedge fund trades that you definitely don't want to miss. Some of these trades are pretty crazy, so make sure to stick with us towards the end of today's video. We have a lot of important things to talk about and some good setups in the market right now. But Tom, we're not going to waste any time. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, Mike, the market was pretty crazy last week, and even though it was a short week, we actually did see some pretty positive movement. So the SPY ended up moving back above $400 last week, and we held very, very strong, closing Friday right around 402. And I think that this is very important to look at, Mike, because a couple weeks ago, we also popped above 400, but there was a big resistance right around 403 to 404. And I'm going to really watch for the SPY to potentially break out up above that 403 resistance come Monday morning. I think this will be a very important thing to look for. You can see how even on Thursday, well, I should say Wednesday and then Friday, we saw a lot of price action on the SPY right around that upper range. So if we do get that breakout above 403, I think that we could see some positive movement. And there is some news out right now that gives me hope that we could still continue up. We actually saw record Black Friday shopping numbers, guys. And this is coming in a year of super high inflation where people were expecting consumer spending to possibly be down a little bit. But hey, it looks like they're breaking records here. It's not a lot. It's only up 2.3% year over year. But it looks like on Black Friday alone, consumers spent $9.12 billion. And on Thanksgiving Day, they spent $5.29 billion. So seems like the growth is there, Mike, and definitely keep your eyes on stocks like Amazon, maybe even some buy now, pay later services like PayPal and Affirm might do well, considering we saw a pretty big increase in those numbers over the past couple weeks as well.
Yeah, and check this out, Tom. In the article, it says Black Friday online sales top $9 billion in new records. So I really think looking especially at, some of these online stocks, just like you said, Tom, Amazon, I know a lot of people are looking at Walmart as well, but it's good to see this data come in because just like you were saying, Tom, in a economy where there's such high inflation right now, and a lot of people are worried that consumer spending will take a big hit. It's important that we see this type of data come out because it shows that, the consumer is still spending, and that's necessary for the economy, and it should help, stocks in the economy overall. So that's interesting. Tom, if you had to pick 3 or 5 stocks related to Black Friday, what would they be?
Yeah, so my 3 would personally, I know you cannot have a Black Friday watch list without Amazon in it. So Amazon's got to be the first one on the list there. Looking at them on the daily chart, honestly, Mike, they are extremely low this year, under $100 a share. I think even getting this one for longer term shares right now is a really smart thing to do. And who knows, we might even see some shorter term movement. As far as other stocks in the short term, I really like Macy's. I've noticed they've been on a pretty big uptrend, and I feel like that with retail and online doing a little bit better, maybe Macy's will start to pop up. And then I'm also keeping my eyes on Target. Target's another one of those retailers. And the reason I like Target a lot is they are still extremely low, and they have a huge gap to fill on the chart between 180 and 210. So I will be watching for a potential pop up with this one over the next couple months too.
Good stuff. And you can't forget Shopify. So Shopify is the company that's kind of behind a bunch of e-commerce companies and websites. So I'd imagine Shopify would do great from the increased spend from online sales, especially related to Black Friday. And Shopify is just a stock I've been liking just by itself. So maybe Black Friday and Cyber Monday can just boost it up a little bit extra. We'll see.
Yeah, it definitely might. Shopify is huge. They're on a bunch of websites, like you said, Mike. I know that there's a ton of websites that use Shopify out there. So definitely keep your eyes on that one. But yeah, there's a lot of Black Friday opportunities, Mike. A lot of these stocks that we're looking at are extremely low, whether it's Shopify, Amazon, Target. I know Walmart and a couple other retailers are a little bit high this year. Maybe be a little bit careful with stocks like that, but I do feel like there's a lot of great opportunities here. So keep your eyes open. These Black Friday opportunities only come once a year. as we know. So hopefully it helps uptick the stocks. But even more important than Black Friday, Mike, if we get that big breakout with the SPY up above 403, that might set us up just even in general for good movement. And then this Black Friday news might even compound on top of that. So overall, it seems like we're setting up pretty well for this week.
Yeah, so the market itself has been in just like a straight chop zone for like 2 weeks now. It's been like just really bad and low movement. So going into this week, what events do we have to hopefully break this chop zone?
Yeah, there is actually some pretty big ones. So early in the week, there's not really too much going on. But once we get to Wednesday, we are going to see the ADP employment change numbers come out, and then the GDP growth rate second estimate for Q3. So keep in mind, it's the second estimate. There's already been the advanced reading out. Then we're also going to see Powell speak Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. Now, keep in mind, guys, this is not an FOMC event. I know people always get confused by this. He's just speaking. It looks like it's going to be the economic outlook, inflation, and the labor market. They're not saying exactly what the event is, but you can see they give the date for the event in Washington, D.C., and it's just going to be an event where he pretty much just talks about the current state of the economy, the labor market, and maybe what the feds are looking for over the next coming months. So just keep that in mind. Not an FOMC event, but it will be pretty huge. But we do have more earnings, Mike. It seems like every single week we just have earnings after earnings. I know that a lot of the big companies are finally out of the way, but we do still have some big ones mixed in here, like CrowdStrike. I know that's going to be huge. A lot of people talk about that. XPEV or XPeng, XPEV is the ticker there. One of those famous China EV stocks. They even have like a concept for a flying car if you guys want to check that out. But then we have Snowflake, Salesforce, Kroger, ChargePoint. It definitely seems like Wednesday and Thursday are the two biggest days, Mike. And my favorite earnings from this week is going to be Kroger, actually. That stock has been on quite the uptrend, and it's just been doing quite well with all these retailers like Walmart and all the other ones doing pretty well.
Good stuff. Out of the earnings for this week, I would say like my most anticipated one would be on Wednesday after close, and it would be with Salesforce. Salesforce is definitely a powerhouse, and their stock has been struggling like many other stocks have been. So they'll definitely be on my watch list. Normally they move to the upside in a pretty steady and consistent way, like historically speaking. And over the past year, it's just been nothing but a straight downtrend. But they are trying to bounce off of that 150 support, so maybe we'll see a nice bounce.
Yeah, there's a huge support there, right around 150, 140. On the longer term chart, there's even a huge one down there around 120. Hopefully, we keep holding around 150 where we are. But what a crazy stock, Mike. Another one that's been down a ton this year, and I think they can do better. Remember, guys, Salesforce's ticker is CRM. I know some people get confused with that one because it's CRM and their name is Salesforce. Sometimes the tickers just don't line up like that. But yeah, some big earnings, Mike. Like I said, I think even like Hormel Foods might even surprise people given the way inflation has been. But yeah, definitely keep your eyes on those stocks if you are interested in any earnings plays. Like I said, my favorite is Kroger. But Mike, as far as any other events for the week, there was actually some pretty big news coming out of China this week. It looks like there was a lot of COVID protests that apparently his anger is spreading across China. Apparently last week, China actually expanded some lockdowns as their COVID-19 cases hit a daily record. And whenever I start looking at this, it's actually pretty rough, Mike. Like when I start looking through the articles, there were some quotes in here saying that people cannot even leave their house or else they'll get tested by testers over there. Like keep in mind that the government over there like forces people to get tested and stuff like that. So it's pretty crazy, Mike. I really hope that they can get stuff back. But like the people are saying, they really just want their basic human rights back. And hey, I don't blame them. You know, I know the government over there has been extremely strict. I mean, way more strict than we've been, and even more strict than Europe, in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Crazy stuff. All right, Tom, it is now time for some solid plays for the week. One of the top stocks I'm watching going into this week is GDX. GDX, we talked about it a little bit last week, but basically it's a bunch of gold mining stocks, and I've been seeing a ton of like bullish hedge fund trades related to gold miners and just precious metal mining stocks and stuff like that. GDX is basically a bunch of stocks all under one ticker that are related to that. GDX, I like it. I think gold itself can move up as well. So I'm pretty bullish on GDX going forward, but it's not necessarily a play like, oh, I need to watch this stock tomorrow. It's more so like over like the whole week and even like next week and a couple weeks going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I really like it too, Mike. Gold is one of those commodities that has definitely been hot lately, and I'm really glad to see it back on the uptrend. Honestly, I will say this has been a pretty bad year for gold, in my opinion. I was really expecting gold to continue to uptick maybe a little bit higher. I know that we weren't going to continue up with that Russia momentum that we had at the beginning of the year, but I will say I wasn't expecting it to fall down as much as it did. So I will be watching for a recovery, and I feel like a lot of these miners mixed in here might do a lot better as well, like GOLD and NEM. These are a couple of the holdings in GDX for anybody wondering. But one of my favorite stocks for the week, Mike, is going to be NVIDIA. I really think NVIDIA is in a crucial spot right now. Now, I'm not really picking this in one direction or the other here, but I will lean a little bit to the upside with Black Friday numbers doing well. Maybe we'll see NVIDIA also, do good because of that. But what I will say is they are right around a big resistance, right around 165.50. If we could end up breaking out above that resistance, I will be watching for a potential breakout play maybe early on this week. But if we do start falling down and we break below 160, I will be watching for a potential move back towards this 152, maybe even 150 support down here around the bottom. So watch for that move this week. I'm going to keep my eyes on NVIDIA. It's one of those big tech stocks. And if the QQQ and the overall tech sector continues up, I would expect NVIDIA to also kind of follow that movement.
No doubt. All right, another one I'm watching is Square, so SQ. This one is still trying to bounce off of a key support level right around $60 per share. It has a long history of solid moves. It has all-time highs right around $290 each. Right now, it's around a little over 60. It's a very volatile stock, and it has potential to run. It's very oversold as well, and it's holding up in a decent way. Nothing crazy, but it's holding up a little bit. So I'm definitely watching that one for a potential upside move for the week.
Yeah, and I saw some people talk about that Square might be one of those good like buy now, pay later type of stocks. I know that they deal a lot with like online purchasing as well. So who knows, maybe they'll even uptick a little bit from the Black Friday news. But yeah, I really like that 60 support, Mike. I really like how we almost bounced off that last Tuesday. So definitely watch Square as well. I will say, Mike, my next stock might be a little bit of a surprise to some people. I normally don't talk about this one too much, but Boeing is running up, and it's actually up by a huge resistance at $180 even. If I see Boeing run up and break 180 next week, I will definitely be watching this one for calls. It has been on quite the uptrend over the past couple weeks, Mike. It's almost been straight up, which is pretty insane. They went from the 121 support all the way up now to 178, and honestly, very little red days mixed in there. So I will be watching for that break of 180. They are overextended in the short term, but hey, if this momentum keeps up, I think it can make for some pretty good day trades.
Sounds good. All right, good stuff there. I will definitely also have my eye on Boeing for the week. But Tom, it is now time for the momentum plays. With the first one, we have NIO to the upside.
Yeah, good old NIO here. Go ahead and make them break out above 1025 back to the upside. They did fall down a little bit on Friday on that half day. That was a little bit rough there.
Yeah, true. All right, with the next one, we have good old DraftKings also to the upside.
Oh, I'm so glad we're saying this one's going up, Mike. Make them go ahead and break above 1550.
And with the last one, we have Amazon, but we need both directions.
Yeah, Amazon, hopefully it does well with those Black Friday numbers, but if they do end up falling down, make them break below 92.80. I think that's going to be a pretty big support there from last week. Now, if they do start running to the upside and they break above 94.60, then watch for a potential move up. Keep in mind, 94.60 is to the upside. To the downside, I'm watching 92.80.
Sounds great. So we are watching Amazon, DraftKings, and NIO for potential day trades to the upside tomorrow, only if they break above the level Tom listed. And then with Amazon, we do have that downside level as well that Tom mentioned. So definitely keep an eye on that. but it is now time for the big money trades for the week. So we have three different stocks today because we missed, we didn't have a video for one day last week because of Thanksgiving, so we have to catch up from a day. So with the first one, we have NEM. So this is actually another precious metal mining company, gold mining company. So this is very similar to GDX, which is what I mentioned a couple minutes ago. Basically, some smart money, some hedge fund trader put around $178,000 into the NEM $47.50 strike call options that expire on January 19th of 2024. Honestly, this is not like a huge big money trade. Like, almost $200,000 is a lot, but for a hedge fund or insider, it's not like a crazy amount of money. I do like the movement with NEM stock though, and I can definitely see it rising.
Yeah, I can too. NEM is the biggest holding in GDX, which is actually what we talked about earlier. So I do feel like that NEM will be one of those stocks that will end up doing quite well, and it is setting up pretty well, kind of like GDX is too. So hopefully they continue up, and it does seem like that in the short term there is some resistance around maybe like $47 on NEM. But hey, if we could break that, I think it could be pretty solid. And the main thing with NEM also comes down to gold prices. Like it's not going to move 100% like gold, but gold going up definitely helps.
Absolutely. Yep. Great point there. And another thing too is like we've seen like crazy high inflation this year, which normally would make gold rise. But when we have the dollar moving the way it has been, it also makes it pretty hard for gold to rise. And we're starting to finally see the dollar fall down. So if the dollar keeps falling down, that can also be decent for gold.
Yeah, it really could. And looking at the dollar, it's almost down to a pretty big support around 105. So I will be watching DXY this week. If we keep falling down, that'll be huge for gold.
All right, with the next big money play, we have ACVA, and this trade is for $342,000. Basically, some hedge fund trader put $342,000 into the $7.50 strike call options that expire on May 19th of 2023. This play is interesting in the sense that its options chain is not very liquid, but at the same time, that's not a bad thing because sometimes these illiquid options chains are a lot easier for like the hedge funds to manipulate. So it's easier to just follow the trades, which is a good thing in this scenario. At the same time though, like I can see the stock popping up, but I'm not like super confident in it because like this is like a car auction company. So like it can be decent. It's just like, it's not like a A+ setup to me.
Yeah, these poor car companies have been getting killed the past like year and a half or so. Like, let's go check out Carvana. I know it's not necessarily a car auction company, but this kind of gives you an insight into, how well some of these car companies were doing heading into COVID and then how bad they ended up doing after. Now, Carvana is like a big car reseller, so keep that in mind. It's not necessarily an auction website, but keep in mind they probably do a lot of auctions as well. But yeah, it's pretty crazy to see how a lot of these stocks have been going, Mike. I know ACVA has been another crazy one, but I will say it's been holding up a lot better than Carvana in my eyes. And at least ever since July, it's been kind of trading in this range, which at least shows that there's a lot of buyers coming in around these, $6.50, maybe $7 supports, which is good too.
Yep. All right. With the last one, we have Disney. And basically, someone put over $2.9 million into the Disney 80 strike call options for January 20th of 2023. So this is a big money trade. I think Disney stock can definitely move up higher going forward. This option is in the money, so it's pretty likely that the hedge fund is buying this one. It is an opening trade. I can see Disney popping up. They just got their new CEO back too, so that's a good sign. And then as Tom's pointing out in the charts right now, they're bouncing off like a giant level right around $90 for, what is it, like the fifth time, Tom?
Yeah, fifth or sixth. I mean, they've had so many bounces off this level going all the way back to November of 2014. So really keep your eyes on 90 to 92. Everywhere between there, there's been a ton of bounces. So keep your eyes on Disney. That is a huge trade, Mike. 2.9 million. I know the first couple of trades were smaller. NEM was 177K. ACVA was 342,000. but this one is pretty big, 2.9 million. It's at the 80 strike, which I love. That is in the money by a lot. That even goes lower than the low of this year. So I love this trade, Mike. Looks pretty good. Hopefully Disney keeps popping up. And I'll tell you what, ever since they had that CEO announcement last week where who did they add in? They added in Bob Iger and they got rid of Bob Chapek. That is going to be pretty big for them. I think that might change sentiments around. And I couldn't believe that the morning of that announcement, the big move that Disney stock had, like that was just such a big gap up on that announcement. And hopefully that changes investor sentiment around.
You know it. We will see. But yeah, definitely keep an eye on Disney. Someone's definitely looking for this one to rise by a good amount. If you're not familiar with options, the main thing you need to know is someone's betting millions of dollars that Disney stock is going to rise a lot going forward, and this trade expires on January 20th of 2023. So definitely keep an eye on that. But while we are on the topic of, I guess you could say big money trades, I also want to go over or highlight our member of the day today. So huge shout out to ET in the Stocked Up Discord chat. You've been in the chat for over a year and a half, and you're definitely pretty active. So keep up that activity in the chat. Tom and I really appreciate it. Again, huge shout out to ET in the Stocked Up Discord. But Tom, I think this week will be filled with many great opportunities. I know over the past 2 weeks or so, it's been pretty tough in terms of trading because there really just hasn't been that much great movement. But I think things are going to start to change and turn around and get back to normal going this week. We've been in a chop zone for 2 weeks, and almost always after something like that, we see a big move. So I think we're going to have a good week.
Yeah, and we're finally seeing some good consumer spending numbers with these Black Friday numbers starting to come out, which is nice. So overall, good stuff. I really hope the market can keep breaking out. There's some big resistances that we're at, but with big resistances, they're meant to be broken. So let's hope that we can break these and start getting back up. I am confident with a lot of these plays that were running up last week, like Apple, Microsoft, stocks like that. They were doing pretty well. I loved how Microsoft specifically closed right up around the high. It almost looked exactly like the SPY. I guess that 9-6 correlation still plays out, but yeah, just watch for that breakout this week. I think we can see it. Don't forget, Powell is speaking Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, but it's not an FOMC event, so keep that in mind too.
Good stuff. All right, guys. Definitely check out this video on the screen right now. It's a little bit longer of a video, but it's a pretty awesome strategy that'll work very well in this type of market. Check it out. It's actually one of my favorite trading strategies. And once you learn it, it's kind of hard not to trade it. So definitely check it out. It's pretty awesome.